Richard Meza.
Meza.
Meza. I'm terrible with names. Meza? Are we ready? Give me... Yeah, welcome very much to Conversation. A pleasure to welcome to the program a gentleman who I would like to introduce, and hopefully he's going to become very good friends with him. It's Richard Meza, and we met the other night at an event with our Jerome Nadler giving a talk. And he's a very interesting guy we're going to be talking about. So, Richard, welcome very much to Conversations.
Thank you. It's a
pleasure.
To be here.
Now, Richard, maybe you could introduce yourself. You're very, I'm here to testify, having been talking with you here and the other night after the meeting with Mr. Nadler. You're a very interesting guy, a wide variety of subject matter, but tell me and share with the audience your own background, born and raised, that kind of stuff. And I know you got a couple projects in the works now that we want to talk to and perhaps support in terms of its achievement, but share your own background, born and raised a little bit, and then let's wade in.
Park Slope, Brooklyn, 1964. Everybody talks about how much Brooklyn is a great, cool place, but I don't spend too much time in Brooklyn. I was brought up in Long Island, in Bayshore, and Brentwood in my teenage years, and I really enjoyed the suburban life.
Was it a good life you had? Was it a good family and everything? Good?
Big family, dog, house, toys,
What
bicycles.
kind of a dog? What kind of a dog?
We had the first dog was in Bayshore, was a Doberman. But the thing is, we
they're
didn't
very
touch his ears.
they're thought to be very guarding of the home.
Yeah,
Scary is what they are.
He wasn't like that.
Oh, okay.
Fortunately, he had floppy ears and a tail.
Oh, okay.
Nothing like the typical Doberman you'd see.
Okay, yeah.
His name was Skipper.
Skipper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Skipper and I.
That's
had
a
the
disarming
best
name,
relationship.
Skipper. Yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I remember him pulling me in a sled and things like that.
He could do it too.
Yeah, he had a lot of fun doing that. I have one golden memory of him.
Yeah.
A picture of me with my dog in the street.
Yeah, I know. Boy, I when I was a youth, I had a little dog. It was Ginger.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, she was my dear friend. Animals. Sometimes I think animals are more attractive than some people I know. I know that's a subversive thing to say, but the dogs are wonderful. Yeah. And I got the best cat in the world now. Oh God, she's gorgeous. But anyway, never enough of this. You've got important things to say rather than dogs and cats and everything. That's where you've been some education and that kind of stuff. And I know you're going to be getting involved in a number of projects you've got. So why don't we get down to some of the more up-to-date things about your life, if you could.
Well, I've been involved a lot in construction and management sector.
Yeah.
Project management was always something interesting for me. I did attend college in architecture studies, but I found in that road a brighter future for me.
Road.
I had
construction manager.
Yes.
Now that's something that's really important to a town like New York, where there's also so much construction going on. You can hardly keep up with it at all. And there's a lot of issues involved with the construction industry in New York, as there is across the world. But spell it out a little bit if you can.
Well, you can't stay in when you mean construction. It is ever evolving.
Yeah.
There are tools and systems that are constantly upgraded. It's catching up with the newest codes, methods, and means to get the project done at a more efficient rate.
And with safety.
Oh, big time.
Big issue, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Just because safety is the number one reason you come back home is because you're implementing safety measures.
Yeah.
It's one topic of discussion I devote my life to. And that means that I would manage a project for a contractor or an owner of a project and ensure the contractor or the owner that everything is done safely.
Yeah, you were doing that as a specialization in a sense. They would have that part of that in their thinking in general, the owner or the manager or the thing. But to have particular concern for the safety and the efficiency as well, it would be an important part of the overall industry in terms of a successful business model and so forth. Yeah.
They would have it to an extent.
Yeah.
But most owners or contractors It's very common.
Will they fudge?
They just want.
Will
the
they
job done.
fudge in order to get things done quickly or something? Or
If it was in line with the code, yeah,
Yeah.
they would just want it to keep going.
is the code or the official elements of our society that look out for not only the safety, not only the construction efficiently and so forth, but also the safety to the citizenry of the place where it's being done and the larger constituency of the citizenry, some of the political leaders and so forth. How do they set up and score against the managers or the owners of the projects? If you can follow all of that.
Well, everything is time. Time is of the essence when it comes to managing a project efficiently. There are systems and tools that are needed for that process to be streamlined. Of course, experience in the industry will
Make it better, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Somebody new in the field, you'd spend a lot of time teaching them how to be on.
You'd
top
have
of
to
their game.
spend an awful lot of time to get some of those people on those high scaffolds where they're swinging around on ropes and things like that. If it were me, because I would be down on the ground floor, because I get petrified at seeing these people going around, or when they were building the Empire State Building and throwing bricks around and everything. There's a certain kind of cavalierness about people who are certain of what they're doing, but it looks awfully scary and is and can be and has to be taken care of. Yeah, and there are people who are dedicated to particularly making sure of those safety issues are being observed, even though there is a schedule that everybody's trying to get as fast as they can get the building up.
Yeah, nothing goes without having it inspected until you get to the next stage. So it's very helpful for to be associated closely. I would say shadow the inspector when he or she arrives.
Wait a minute. Yeah, maybe you could spell out how it works. Let's say you got a big 40-story building or something going on. Who's involved in it? There's an owner, and then there's the stockholders, and then there's the investors, and then there's welders, and how is that all put together? It's like a gigantic circus or something, you know?
It can be very overwhelming.
Yeah, I
the
think.
The owner's got the rights of the land.
Yeah.
And let's say he's got his design team put together.
Architects have to be.
Architects and engineers.
Yeah.
They come in and they do their assessment of the land, where I'm actually being offered a position perhaps today or tomorrow
on this very day.
Yeah.
Let's mark the day. What's the date?
16th.
16th of October. Yeah. And the year is
2018.
18. Yeah. Let's mark it
Somebody
for posterity.
said last week
yeah.
it was 19. They had to stop and because the time is going so fast.
Yeah, it's true.
It's faster than ever.
Yeah.
So getting back to how a project gets to the stage of, let's say, 1 or 2 floors before you go up to the 40, they assess the whole land, and to see based on the tests we have, the soil test, the boring test, to see how condensed the soil is,
and the bedrock, how solid,
Where is
and
the
the solid,
bedrock?
the foundation,
Right,
and all that.
New
Yeah.
York City's all bedrock.
That's a huge thing. Is that all done by the architect, or is there
The engineers
somebody
do.
else? The engineers and architects work together
Yeah, and I always
on
wondered
those
about
issues.
that.
Yeah.
How come the engineers and architects have a hard time getting along?
Do they?
Yeah.
Over
because
what
the architect
issues?
wants to just jump in there
Yeah.
and build or design, but they have to have the approval of the engineer.
Uh-huh.
You got to
Now,
see if this is okay.
do they go to different schools to learn?
Well, there's
Or how, it's a
lot.
large part of the American or the world business now is construction of large buildings and so forth, and how it works probably isn't as well understood by the citizenry as it would be good for them to do.
I have a drinking problem. As you
Yeah,
see.
yeah, you have a drinking. That's a joke. You could do, be on the stage. Yeah, but no. I'm just saying it's a major part, and it's growing. I mean, it's all over the world now, and there are lessons to be learned from other countries, and we can learn and all that kind of stuff. The context of the construction business worldwide is a subject is of great interest to the political class and to the citizens in general, isn't it? Yeah, better it should be understood from the inside as much as you might be able to help us understand.
Yeah, and even though there's some people that have no background or no idea how to get into the business, I like to provide a few tips.
Yeah.
To people who are interested in getting involved in.
There might be people listening to this who would be very interested in what you got to say now. So,
well,
tip away.
If we start with federal minimal requirements,
okay,
it's called a OSHA class, a 10-hour OSHA class. It's a credential that literally allows you to enter a job site.
Okay.
So you're going to learn about how to protect yourself and your surrounding. If there's hazards like trip hazards when you enter the job site, your responsibility is to avoid. And how can you avoid it? Well, you can move things that are in the way of people walking. There might be a cable that runs through.
Yeah.
What happens if a delivery comes in and it runs over the cable?
Yeah.
Or there may be some trash that someone just drops and they don't pay any mind to it because they're busy going to their post and do their work. These are hazards that initially it's brought to your awareness. So now that you've gone through the first step of entering a job site, your skill now comes into play. So you could be a carpenter, you could be a welder, you could be a bricklayer, you could be a mason. You do your specific task until your foreman notifies you that it's lunch break or coffee break or time to go home, and you stop what you're doing, but you're always cognizant of where the hazards are wherever you go, whenever you're on the job site. So we want to make sure that everybody that enters a job site, first and foremost, not only knows their skills, but the responsibility of making sure that they are in harm's way from any conditions that may contribute to an accident.
Yeah, I would think so. That would be number one. Yeah.
So number one risk in being involved in construction.
Some people would say, "Oh, let's just get out on the end of this thing, and we could get it up a little faster this time, but it's too risky." Who's between those two things? That's life in general. Are you going to take a risk, or are you going to do the thing for sure? Those two things, how do they work in the overall industry of construction? Maybe even down to even things like houses and construction in general on planet Earth.
Well, productivity.
Those two features, safety and efficiency of actual construction.
Let's put it this way: it's an art to manage something like a project, a construction project, where your deadlines are compromised because of safety concerns.
Right.
In other words, if I'm looking at a project and I think it's a little too dangerous, I'll talk to the people that are running the project. For example, the superintendent. I could be.
Now, who's the superintendent answerable to? Who's the one for initiating it all? First of all, you got a political class, don't you? And you got safety features for the overall citizenry of the place, other than the guys who are involved in the business. And there's competition between 100% corner somewhere, which is really a choice location and all that kind of stuff. How's it determined what building goes where, according to whose lights and according to whose initiative? Does the construction of things and human artifacts on this, where does it come from? I mean, there's a political context. There's central planning. There's national economies and that kind. Does it link to the federal structure?
It depends what the project is.
Yeah.
Well, first you have to look at what the code says as far as its zoning.
The code. Is there a code, national code, state code, city code, local code, local sheriff's office? I mean, where is the authority? What's the authority structure for building an economy with in the building industry itself?
That's a loaded question.
Yeah, I'm trying. You know what I'm trying to get at as a citizen that doesn't understand it. It's a huge project. The whole project of running an economy or running a nation or a country or a city or whatever. So
look at the federal level. The federal level goes across the board.
It does. Okay, that's what I say. Yeah, and even international. There are international standards and things like that. And who's responsible for keeping track of those things and that kind of thing? You got a political kind. We just saw Mr. Nadler the other day talking, had some of these issues that had some precedent over what a builder might want to do, have some authority. Where does you understand?
Yeah, so we have the federal code, the building code, that is either international or it's, in our case, city code, found in the buildings department.
Yeah.
That code supersedes all codes. All codes.
Okay.
What codes in specifics? The plumbing code, the mechanical code.
What about environmental codes?
You have
environmental codes increasingly are being brought into the picture, are they not?
Yes, because of the environment and what we hear about in the news.
That means the government.
The government
of an institute of a collective of society.
Yes, the energy department.
Yeah. Okay.
Is the
there
one
you go.
that,
Yeah.
Oversees the energy code.
Right.
And what they do is provide builders and contractors that are putting things up, especially in New York City. It's the most stringent code.
I would think
by.
So. New York is just something else.
So having that included, you see it in all the drawings.
Yeah.
You know, the energy code. So there's minimal requirements of how much R value is allowable for a wall, how thick the windows.
Right.
It could be double, triple pane windows, which is more energy efficient.
And do these things apply internationally?
There are codes that are international that some countries adhere to. But like I said, their specific city codes supersede all other codes.
Okay.
Specifically because of the region.
And does that go over into transportation systems like bridges and rail systems and things like that?
Those are
that's all part of engineering. Yeah.
Yeah, structural steel.
Yeah.
There are codes with that found in the steel book, which engineers put together what is the allowable weight for a specific or what a building is supposed to hold.
Right.
If you're going to have something very heavy, I can't even think except those old Xerox machines that were really heavy. If you got 100 of them in a floor, you're going to call out a specific beam that's going to support that.
Yes. Yeah, I would like to see that kind of thing running right through from the beginning right to the bottom in terms of the authority system by which this system is built out in large terms.
So they have to have an objective. It's like, what are we building here?
Yeah.
Something that's going to constantly move.
And within what context?
Yeah.
Environmental context, too. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
And believe it or not, how much buildings contribute to our carbon footprint.
Absolutely.
We're all doing our best to minimize the loss of energy. Con Edison is making strides at enhancing its minimal footprint by educating contractors and customers to upgrade everything from lighting to insulation. And other things that like
two algorithmic systems of doing things, and
like temperature controls.
They got this thing where cars drive themselves now.
I went to an event
what I'm trying to say is that things are moving very quickly in terms of new innovative things in terms of the footprint of mankind on the planet. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to get at in a sense.
They're trying every day. Scientists and researchers are doing everything they can. And, some people are all for it. I'm a little skeptical because I heard some things in news reporting about driverless cars.
Yeah, well, there are definitely. Are you
Some
kidding?
accidents.
Okay. You okay.
So I'm not
that's a
big
major.
fan of that.
That's a major theme of intellectuals across the world is whether or not the driverless cars are almost definitely coming. Yeah, and it's going to be workerless factory systems and so forth, efficient systems and so forth. The footprint of mankind on the environment is there, and I guess it has a political context as well. But anyway, specifically for a particular project, once all that is done, that's a political context. After that's done, then you got people who are concerned, let's say, for business, instead of all that kind of talk or thought, which is part of a responsibility for the leadership element of a society or a planet. I guess got political context and private sector and all that. But when you get down to that, finally it gets down to somebody who's going to be actually overseeing the safety of a building A that's being built rather than trying to get to it all now. And that's something you're involved with. The issues that are involved with a particular project, a specific project.
So every project has to be observed before it actually breaks ground.
Yeah.
And you look at your surroundings and you put together a safety plan. That safety plan is going to consider all the trades and the hazards that are involved.
Specific to a particular project, not this larger context in which that's all taking place.
Because every job has a specific amount of hazards.
Yeah, right. I guess that's
so
true.
You have
Yeah.
to identify.
Yeah.
And I don't think there is any project that hasn't been already built. So you take
Wait,
your
you
notes.
say again?
For example,
Yeah.
if you build a 10-story building
Yeah.
in the past, it's been done already. Now we know what the hazards are for building a 10-story building. How about a 100-story building? How about a 150-story building? There are different hazards that are addressed during the time of the building process.
Yeah, and
these job hazards analysis can be tweaked to an extent. Hey, you know what? We found something that's a hazard. For example, crane safety.
I saw one the other day. It looked like it was going to the sky. It was over on 57th Street somewhere. They got a thing. It's going up. It's so high you can hardly see it like that. And it's just an incredible apparatus that's used to get. Yeah.
Yesterday I saw one on 55th Street.
Yeah.
And I just happened to speak to a gentleman on my right, not too far from. I just walk up to him and I said to him, "Do you know the site safety? Are you working here?"
Did you say that to him?
Yeah, I asked him, "Are you working on this job site?"
Did you have a badge or anything?
No.
Did you have a weight? Did you have an attitude?
No. He actually said, "I'm controlling the crane."
So
look at that.
Yeah, and he would. Right.
He's got a belt that has remote sensors, controls.
Wow.
Let's say remote controls.
Yeah, he didn't have that.
And what do I see? He's hooking up a
driving that crane
of rebars.
Rebars, yeah.
Taking it to at least 15 to 20 stories high.
Yeah.
I thought there was a guy in the cab.
If that should break and come crashing down on all the crowd below,
he was across the street.
Yeah.
I thought at first I thought he was a spotter. And that the
What's
operator,
a spotter?
A spotter is somebody that is away from the crane and making sure that everybody's away, giving it space. So there's nobody walking underneath the crane if it's picking something up. And
this one was on 57th Street.
There's
millions of people walking around. Yeah.
55th and Lexington.
Something like that, yeah. I could see it from where I was.
Yeah.
And I could hardly see it. It was up in the stratosphere, it seemed.
So I'm observing.
Yeah.
I'm constantly observing construction sites.
Well, I guess I may be getting too picky-unish in all of this and everything, but it's amazing to me how quickly a building can go up, too. Used to be outside of a window where I used to live, there's a big wall, and it was made of brick. And that would, each brick, I realized one day, they would put a brick and then some cement, and then a brick and cement. And it actually, the whole damn wall had to be done by one brick at a time like that. But it must have taken forever for hundreds of thousands of people to do it. Now they just put it all, it's getting more efficient and everything. But then that's in a collision crawl. But anyway, I guess they know what they're doing with those cranes and everything.
Yeah.
Or,
you have to know what they're doing.
Who's overseeing it?
Okay, so you have them rolling up to the job site.
Yeah.
The site safety manager has to.
Site safety manager is one person of a crew or of a production company.
He's
Is as an employee of the organization or somebody from the government agency or somebody that's concerned with safety, or how is that authority?
Directly hired by the owner.
Yeah, directly hired by the owner with no governmental input or anything like that or anything.
License.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's licensed. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So they meet the crane operator driving up to the job site, and the crane operator provides us credentials.
Your credentials issued by whom?
We have the OSHA.
OSHA. Oh, that's federal government.
Yes.
They have standards that are national.
Yes, they do.
World standards do they have yet at
it's
the
national.
UN or something? Yeah.
Yeah.
National.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Then they have their license to operate.
License.
Their operator's license to operate.
Like
the crane.
driving a car. You have to have a
pretty much.
license to drive a
Pretty
car.
much.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah.
The responsibility of that crane operator,
Yeah.
huge responsibility,
I would think so.
is to inspect the whole crane, cables.
They're massive things.
Everything,
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
top to bottom.
Yeah.
And
And they also put it up so fast. You're there one week and
Yeah.
you go there next week, it's up,
the building.
touching the sky. Yeah,
The buil-
yeah.
oh, the
The whole
crane itself.
the whole damn building. I mean, they do it so fast now and everything.
Yeah, it's a methodical job, and it's.
And there seem to be, is it true? It seems just in a general way, if there's anything that's really disastrous or something, you would hear about it in the news. And
Absolutely.
you don't hear that much about big disastrous breakdowns in the
hope
safety of that whole
yeah.
thing that's going on across the world.
Yeah, and even though it has happened, it was
Yeah.
always because it wasn't inspected properly.
It wasn't inspected. Who's responsible for the inspection of it? At what level? That's what I'm saying.
I believe it's the crane operator, since they're
Crane.
the ones that are,
Yeah, like the
their
driver
crane.
of a car is
or a
responsible.
truck.
Yeah,
anything
okay.
that goes on the road or anything that is going to be a risk to
Mhm.
the safety of the public, the
Uh-huh.
property, and the people,
Yeah.
the people that work on the project. So you have all your bases covered when you've had your crane operator inspect the crane and provide the necessary credentials.
And you're involved in that, are you?
At
You're
this
thinking
particular
you're
time.
actually considering accepting a position now where you have responsibility for those kind of projects that are going on around New York,
Yes,
other parts of the state or the nation,
Just
or
the
is it
state.
just New York?
Just
the
New York
state.
City.
You're doing that, right?
yes,
So, and you've been involved with that.
Yes.
So you've worked with these people.
yes.
Uh-huh. It's very. I think people would be very, very interested in that.
Yeah.
Has there anything been done along those lines, like a documentary or a book, or is there anything that talks about these? It's a major issue, the built environment. You could say the built environment, not just a building, but the whole environmental context in which humanity interrelates with one another. Roads, railroads, bridges, all kinds of things like that are part of the context. How quickly can we be getting efficient results from them at such and it all has to be done within a costing that has to be done. It's a huge business, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is.
Yeah. Now, what is what you're thinking of yourself personally now? What is it, if you can talk about the thing you're contemplating going into now?
Well, to keep my juices flowing, it's all about safety,
Yeah.
and I'd like to bring that to the field.
Do you have certain kinds of clearances or something that you had from your life's experience? Have you gone into schools and things like that to get
Oh, yes.
for this position? It's a responsible position. Maybe you could share what's the maybe some young people coming along, they would like to take that into account and maybe get what education grounding there might be good for that, particularly at the largest possible context. Not that they're going to run for president of the United States, but you don't understand what I'm saying.
Sure.
What's the price for a young man or a woman coming along in order to go along the path you've done that you could do it based upon your experience? Or then tie it into your own.
I was very lucky. I started off as a draftsman.
Yeah, okay.
When I left studying architecture.
You studied architecture
Yeah.
at university?
At
Or
New York City College of Technology.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah.
And I just fell in love with drafting.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
I was terrible. I couldn't draw anything. I tried to. I used to do it. They'd give you something to draw, a nut or something. I could never get it. But
Yeah, it's
it takes all
time-consuming.
kinds. It
You have
takes
to be
all
patient,
kinds.
And I'm not a very patient
You wouldn't
person.
want to trust me with the responsibility for making sure everything was safety. But anyway, that's a sidebar. We needn't go into that, right?
A friend said to me that there's a drafting class,
Yeah.
a computer-aided drafting class at Mechanics Institute.
Uh-huh.
They're located at 20 West 44th Street.
20 West 40th Street. Okay.
They are the oldest trade school in
Trade.
New York City.
Okay. Good.
And
This is out of
Sure.
high school. Is it high school? Part of high school or part of
no, it's
college?
it's
Out
a
of
nonprofit independent school. educational facility.
Okay.
Run by the General Society of the Tradesmen of New York City.
Tradesmen of New York City is
Yes.
another organization. Okay, good.
The nonprofit Mechanics Institute is basically run by the General Society
Okay.
of Tradesmen of
Okay.
New York City.
All right.
Of the city of New York. I think that's how it's worded.
Yeah, and they would have the similar in San Francisco, Chicago, Detroit, and so forth.
I really don't know.
Oh, no, I know. You wouldn't be asked to, but I presume they would. It's a pattern that's across the country.
To me,
and perhaps the world in
it's
a
the
different
best
way.
place to learn.
Okay, thank
So,
you. Thank you. They
yeah.
should have such places for young men and
Yeah.
women coming along. Yeah.
And what they accept is if you are a tradesman,
Yeah.
union or non,
Yeah.
just go to their website, generalsociety.org,
Yeah.
and you can see there how to register.
Yeah.
It's a tuition-free school.
Yeah. Good.
Which opened my eyes.
Yeah.
And you only pay for
That
the
would open to a
registration.
lot of people who wouldn't have been able to go to Yale or something, or Harvard Law or something. Yeah,
And
go
I
ahead.
wonder,
Yeah.
But they don't charge you more than the registration fee.
Mm-hmm.
The registration fee is flat $150.
We need more of that kind of thing for a lot of the population. It needs to get a
yeah.
chance, don't
Yeah.
they? Yeah.
I always highly recommend anyone who wants to get into the industry
Yeah.
to take it to that level.
Yeah.
Because the risks that are involved, though I give it high regards and
Yeah.
and commendation to those that actually do the work with
Yeah.
their hands.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's needed people who are of that interest level of
And
taking it-
responsibility.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
get
yeah,
a lot more
yeah.
responsibility.
That's a good general kind of mindset to have for a citizen. Yeah, for that matter. Yeah.
You're managing the project,
no.
the success of it, the timing. You're getting involved with the budgeting. You can get involved with the designing. It really opens a lot of doors for you. A lot of people decided to leave the school when they learned about estimating.
Well,
Now,
okay.
that's tough.
All right.
Because
Talk about
once
what's
you know how to estimate a construction project, some of them will just go out the door and be like, I got what I needed, but I stood around.
You mean they got the certificate?
They
and
didn't get
more.
the certificate of
They
completion,
Yeah. Okay.
but they took off once
Now,
they
what
learned
caused them to
estimate.
do that, and what does that certificate give them the ability to do? Is to find employment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or the employment that they're engaged in will give them a position as an estimator.
Rather
Perhaps
than
they have their reasons
a guy
for
on the
not-
line or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But
Okay.
if you're going to stick it in, you may do it for the 2 years.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You know, go through it, and you'll see that the doors open everywhere, anywhere you want to go.
A lot of opportunity
A
in there.
lot,
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
You can. I started managing projects while I was attending the school.
Yeah. Did you really?
Yeah,
Well, you're particularly adept, right?
yeah. It was
Yeah.
pretty simple for me.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
been in the contracting business since I was 17.
I know you're really something else, man. If you don't mind me saying so.
You know,
That's a compliment. Yeah.
It was not all me doing it. It
No.
was really the people around me. You know, there's people in this industry that are like true brothers. You know, they look out for you. They give you pointers. They share with you ways to make your job more effective and efficient. So it really can't. You're not alone in an island. So there's a lot of people that I've crossed paths with that I miss a lot, that I don't see anymore.
We
But they
need
really help.
we need a lot of opportunities for a lot of people for that kind of a situation, don't you think? In the problems that confront the world, you have to have some way of being able to be. You had a good mother.
Yes.
And that
I
dog
still have a
helped.
good mother.
No, what I'm
I
trying
have
to
a
say,
great
you
mom.
understand what I'm saying. You need to have opportunities for people to participate effectively as citizens. You know? Yeah, yeah,
And this is an opportunity.
yeah.
You know, so if you have a desire just to know what is this all about,
Yeah, right.
You know, go to www.generalsociety.org and hit the Mechanics Institute button, and it'll tell you everything you need to know about what it could take to be a project manager.
A project manager could be a goal
Yes.
that a young person could set for themselves to achieve within reasonable chance of them actually being able to achieve it, rather than holding out to be the star of the class of the current class of the law school at Harvard.
It's a competitive.
Do you understand
world.
what I'm saying? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Or no, another better than that. Remember the movies? You used to have stars. You used to have
Yeah.
like Judy Garland. And I'm going to be, that's another thing. My daughter's in theater. So that's another thing. People will go into theater and they think, I'm going to be a star.
Right.
People would like to be a star. You understand? And that's good that people have something to, but not very many people become a star. But in the business of what you're talking about, they could really become a good, solid citizen, performing a very good service and everything that is reasonably within reach. Would you encourage people to consider, I'm going to become a star of stage, screen, and radio, and open the big stage in Times Square, or you know what I'm saying? No, to try to become a movie star as a thing. Or let's say president of the United States. You know, that would be a goal they could set for themselves. But for people maybe can't get to that, there's only room for one president at a time, I think, right? We're going to change it to where you get a consul or something to run everything. I don't know. But you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. But this thing you're doing is really effective and available to a whole lot of people who might even be watching this program, maybe, huh? Yes. And you're a person who understands that well, having been there, and also you support the idea. And it's a very effective way. Used to be a lot of the jobs that people had to do, like I was in Detroit, from Detroit, and they had to go on an assembly line, and they had to turn a nut. All they had to do was turn a nut, turn a nut all day long, the same thing. Oh, so many jobs were just rote. Now those things are being taken over by fast-moving cyber developments of things being done and everything. So we ought to have some opportunity for people to have input to the productive process, don't you think? Yes. And along this line, it would be something they could do. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm just musing and everything. So talk some more about the industry and so forth.
Now, technology will find its way into replacing the rote
I
work.
think largely,
You know, they have something that just came out where a robot can install drywall. Now, I haven't done that much research.
I don't know what drywall is like, the stuff you put on the wall. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not very adept at, I can't nail anything. You know,
but that's
I'm
what
a
we
klutz.
still need. We still need somebody to handle a hammer.
Yeah.
And you can't outsource
I
that.
never was good with that. I never could do it.
Americans to get to work.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
The ones that are thinking about what can I do to make a decent living, get into construction, find your way, ask around who's hiring. Yeah. But at the same time, believe it or not, not many people, it's not a very popular thought. You gotta go back to school. Yeah. You have to take some classes.
Do they have it in school still? I don't know. I was always, in the schooling, it was always college bound, you know, university bound. And then they had stuff, you know. Do they still have classes in things like that in the schools?
Sure, they sure
do. They
do. Absolutely.
On the skill sets and stuff.
Absolutely. You know, everything to increase your skill set will only benefit you financially and...
Yeah, and responsibly.
Wow,
yeah,
what a big
Yeah, and you get a sense of your own self-worth too.
Absolutely.
You know, not only to mention a nice house over your head, or a ceiling over your head. Exactly. The house is around you, but that's a ceiling. Yeah,
these beautiful buildings.
Right.
One of these
now I've been rambling on, thinking in this large way, because that goes out to like the president of the United States and the world, and what's the state of the union and all that. But talk some more about it. You're now going to be. When you do that, you have to be concerned for specific problem areas and how to oversee that. Talk some more about what the responsibility of somebody in that position, let's say for a medium-sized production process for a building in Manhattan or something. What would they have to be looking out for, the people in that position of responsibility for the safety?
In my recent past, recently became a safety representative for a contractor doing some DDC, DEP work.
DDCTDP, what the world is that?
Department of Design and Construction.
Oh, okay,
And
sorry.
the Department of Environmental Protection.
Talk some about it, yeah.
So I did bring some footage about it.
Oh, good,
It was
yeah.
basically conducting, you start off with a safety toolbox talk.
Yeah, right.
And that just comprises of about 5 to 10 minutes of going over with the group of workers things that are going to be done on that specific day.
Right.
So
on that specific day.
One thing would be done would be talking to the workers about what are the hazards on specific tasks that are going to be handled in that specific day.
Right.
So if we have 10 people, 3 of them are going to be working on cutting the road. 3 others maybe with the shovel. The excavator has a role, so the operator who's digging the asphalt out of the street has a role, and I'm just sharing with the people there what is planned.
And is this on the clip? Is this what you did?
Actually,
okay, well, why don't we run the clip, then we can talk about it. Okay, we're talking with. Okay, run the clip now, then, please. Okay. Okay, here we go.
So we bring together everybody who's going to do what, and I can see that we have some green in the shirts. I can almost see right through me. But we're discussing all the different hazards that are going to be done with the job.
Is that you?
Yeah.
Okay.
You could see this specific hazard. The guy is chopping with a chop saw the concrete, and not only sparks are flying, but there's nobody there with a fire extinguisher. This particular worker, I caught him doing a violation, safety violation. That machine that he's approaching was on. So you had a blade running continuously.
A blade that's cutting cement or something?
Yeah, you see the blade?
That's huge blade.
That's a huge blade, 3 feet long, 3 feet in diameter.
That makes me
So I basically walk to site and I identify whatever hazards are on a job site, whether it be road construction or it could be in a building. In any scope of any project, having somebody who's capable and competent is what the owner of the project is looking for.
Yeah, right.
So they put together these meetings. They put checklists. I need you to sign here that you've inspected your machine or that you've attended the toolbox meeting and that you're good to go. So you have your hard hat. I've checked you have your boots. You have your gloves, goggles, dust mask. If there's anything that they need or that they don't have, I would.
Now, you would have all of that well in your mind, what's needed there, in a way that some of the people might not just be aware of they need it. Or also people can get very, very comfortable with doing something. They know how to do it 100 times, and then 101 times they forget one step, and then they get too confident in it. You understand what I'm saying?
That's a challenge.
That could be a challenge. Yeah.
I could meet the first day. I could meet with people on the first day, and Harold, if I could tell you what bothers me.
Okay, do say it. Idiosyncratic. Yeah, just say.
Is simply somebody doing one of these.
I know how to do that.
Exactly.
I could put that building in upwards with.
I don't need to do this.
Half a day. I only need it. Yeah, right,
okay?
right.
So that's one of the challenges.
That's a common human thing. Yeah.
And that for me, I invite honesty.
Yeah.
If you really think. Well, then I'm going to talk with you, and I'm going to go over what the hazards are.
Yeah.
Now, did you know that the loss of a finger is $2 million?
Yeah.
You can't play with safety.
Yeah.
No matter how, it's either you do the job the safest way.
Yeah. And efficiently.
Or you're out.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Is that right? Okay.
And the owner does not want to go through a shutdown of the project because they identify something that I've identified.
Right.
In the past 10 years, I've never had an inspector come in and find one single violation open.
Okay,
so I'm
really.
very proud to hold that.
Yeah. Well, you've got some experience in that. Yeah.
And I've had the best training.
Yeah.
And it's where it really boils down to.
So now you're about to go into a new venue or something like that, you're thinking. Is it become more people under your tutelage, if that's the right term, or under the wing of your productive,
Fortunately, it's just me.
Yeah.
So I'm a person that
you get
doesn't
along with
stop
people.
moving.
Do you know how to get along with people so you can win them over on their own terms rather than tell them they have to do it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I
You
mean?
have to work with people.
Did you ever have to do military service?
No.
Oh, did you
My
ever
dad
hear of a
always wished I
sergeant?
did. No.
The sergeants always used to have you do things. I was only
Yeah.
a buck private. I used to always try to explain to the sergeants how we could do things. They never wanted to listen
Right.
to my experience of a 19-year-old telling them how we should run the Army. You know, that kind of thing. You understand? Does it ring a bell?
I've had some that have a culture of I'll do it my way.
Well, they got Bing Crosby. No, it was Frank Sinatra made it. So I'll do it my
I
way.
did
Or was
it my way?
Yeah, I'll do it my way. That's a common thing in the society.
Yeah. So we like to help people.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
wherever we go, right?
Yeah,
So
right.
if somebody really thinks that they can do it in a safer way,
It's a good.
I'll listen to them.
Yeah, right.
You know, they may have a point.
Right.
But
No, there were
ultimately-
sergeants like that in the Army who would. There
Yeah.
were. I remember that they were actually would take it into account, or leaders of any kind of way up and down the scale. There are good leaders and bad leaders, you know. So the good leaders are the kind of people you'd want to have what you're doing, and I presume you were one. Yeah.
And I'm not one
It's
to bark.
Yeah.
You know,
No, right,
orders
right,
to
right,
people.
right.
There's one thing I'm happy that I don't do is I
What
don't
is
tell
it?
people what to do.
You don't.
I just observe.
Yeah.
And if there's any questions about the safer way to do it,
Mm-hmm.
with dignity and respect, I'll ask them to take a look at the code. I'll ask them to take a look at what it says.
Is the code so well written that it can be understood clearly and in short notice and so forth? And everything? Is the code so well understood by them as they come to the job initially?
You're responsible for knowing the code.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
you want to make it comfortable.
Now, this kind of
Or-
thing would apply to a lot of other positions within the society, I presume, don't you? The relationship
Yeah.
between people.
And, you know, in construction, there's very little room for being calm and soft-spoken. Very little room. Everything is yelling. Everything is running, and you just got to find.
No,
happy medium.
that's inherent in the environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It's a physical thing.
But if
it's
you
not
have
a.
somebody coming
Yeah.
in as a leader with a culture of safety first,
Yeah.
and a person goes over and beyond the call of duty, you're going to identify with that person. I've seen it happen, and people have made comments that I'm not one to bark orders, that I talk to people with dignity and respect. And
Don't you
a
think
huge
that's
thing.
a good general lesson? Don't you think? Yeah.
It should be spread out, really.
Yeah.
Because I've been in job sites where I've had supervisors throw keys
Yeah.
and tell me to do a job. Didn't like that. Had to do it,
Yeah.
but I wasn't
Had to
happy.
pick it up, sort of.
And I just don't. No matter what, I
I
like
certainly
people
want.
happy in a job. Right?
Yes.
that-
No,
what's
listen.
that for?
Now that I laugh and everything, but that's what we ought to be doing for the whole damn society.
Yeah.
People ought to be in that position of being happy what they're doing.
If you're always pointing,
There
out
was a
what's wrong,
song that
what
Walt
good is
Disney used to have. I'll sing it a little bit. I don't sing very well, you know. But so anybody in the audience who can sing is whistle while you work, and remember never shirk. Just whistle, 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 whistle while you work. Do you remember that song?
Yes,
I think
do.
it's a song that would be good if we could infer it into the work of everybody if we could. Do you think, I don't think they did that very much over the long, they weren't able to have life be so considerate of people's psychology and mindset and everything, as is becoming daily more available to greater percentages of the world population, to have that kind of a life rather than one of a quarry slave.
Yeah.
Quarry slaves had to do it or be beaten to bejesus. You don't understand.
Yeah.
Or one of those big ships from the, do you ever see the movies about the Romans? They have these ships you have to go and they have to pull the damn thing and you got chains and all that. You know what I mean? So things are getting better, I think, don't you?
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
don't expect everybody to whistle while they're working.
No,
Just
no?
go back.
No, I don't think with these guys with the cigar and everything, you
'Cause
go,
that's
I don't
not
want to go up and say,
realistic.
listen, whistle, particularly the big guys. I wouldn't do that, you know, but I understand what you're
But
saying.
you know, there should
Yeah.
be a level of dignity and respect when you're communicating.
Yes,
with one another.
it should be the goal of the
So-
society writ large. And we've got a capability where everybody's going to be able to be in that state of mind before very long, maybe a generation or so. Everybody's going to be able to be in a state of haveness in a certain sense over their own life.
What do you think is
where
the
they
biggest
haven't
reason?
been historically, huh?
What do you think is the biggest reason that people are not?
Well, we haven't got a
happy?
right economic system,
Yeah.
for one thing, because the assets are all owned by a tiny plutocratic class, as always they've been, and everybody's like wage slaves,
Yeah.
you know. And so, but they may be getting over that. And so what they're going to need are citizens that are going to be, there's a thing, comfortable in their own skin.
Yes.
Everybody
Yes.
should be comfortable in their own skin, happy to the degree at all possible, collectively for all, in a way that has never been able to be available to us, because you had to have those people do things that made it possible for the other people to live very well, but they had to live badly in order for some to live well. Do you understand? And it's in our minds that it has to be that way. You have to have slaves, essentially.
I've seen that in the past in job sites, unfortunately. But I appealed to these fellas during their lunch break, and I thought, you know what, these guys really need to know. They need to know how important their job is.
Yeah, okay.
And if they're
Yeah, and
acknowledged-
let's let the jobs be really important ones rather than trivial.
Yeah.
It doesn't do good to make work.
And it doesn't take
And
more
have
than
a bunch
2
of
minutes.
slaves be like make work. You understand?
Yeah.
Or maybe it's dreaming for something that never can be. We have to have slaves in order to have people that are beaten down in order for some to win. It's called zero sum. And that term is now coming out more and more, non-zero sum. Zero sum is for one to win, somebody else has to lose. If you're going to win, somebody else has to lose. That's the thinking that's come out of history.
Yeah.
And we're getting to a point where it's non-zero sum. We're getting past the ironclad laws of utter scarcity. That's been the context in which our civilization has risen. But we may be coming to a time when everybody can be, in a certain sense, comfortable in their own skin, or comfortable in what they're doing and happy. It'd be great if you had everybody. If you're in an orchestra or something like that, and you're playing a piccolo and so forth, and everybody's playing their instrument beautifully. You know, you see like Leonard Bernstein conducting a philharmonic or a jazz club or a jazz thing. Everybody's playing at the top. You want everybody playing at the top of their mark, don't you?
Yeah.
You don't want some to be less so that others can think themselves strong.
That's a good analogy.
Now, there's too much of that kind of thinking still in the human condition or the historical context of our institution, don't you think?
That's why education is a key thing.
Yeah, okay.
Really, you know, and helping people to appreciate what you've learned
Yeah.
in your path.
And
your
appreciate
career.
the people who can particularly do that, our teachers and stuff like that, yeah. You optimistic for the human prospect? We now have a capability in the weapon systems that have been grown up to where apparently from their modeling, if they were to be unleashed in some sort of spasm of, you know, competitive, disastrous condition and everything, if they were to be unleashed, unlike out of all of history, if they were to unleash in their fulsomeness, everything that's there actually exists on hair trigger alert, it would mean the end of our whole species. It would kill every single human being.
Let's hope not.
No, but that's the capability. We couldn't do it in the Second World War. We couldn't do it in the First World War. We couldn't do it, you know, we were. But we also have a capability of making everybody, in a certain sense, a have.
Yeah.
We haven't had that capability before. So everybody. So when you're playing, you want if you're in a jazz quartet, you want the trumpet to play full scale. You want everybody to play full scale, and in a way that doesn't go off key. Off key would be like the safety thing not being observed and 100 people die from a crane falling down or something. You know, you want everybody to be playing. Do you understand what I'm saying? In
And
these
we use
safety,
that analogy a lot with
you do.
with project management. Guy Lombardo.
Guy Lombardo,
You
yeah.
know, it always came to mind when we were learning the responsibility and the duties of a project manager.
Did you really? In what
Yeah.
sense? Guy Lombardo,
That
voice
if-
of. He had a term. They had a term for Guy Lombardo, music of the spheres or something. But
You know
what,
better
no,
than me.
no, there's many examples.
What his
Well,
trademark comment was or something?
What was it? Yeah.
Nah, I don't know.
Oh yeah. There was something that the music, the sweetest music this side of heaven. I think it was something like that, or somebody. But they've had examples.
Yeah.
You know, you could have like any of the jazz greats and everything like that. But anyway, the trouble is, I talk too much and everything. But I think you're onto something really important. I hope it works out for you for the new opportunity you see coming before you. And I thank you for filling us in on it. You know. Yeah. I understand you've had some association with MNN.
Yeah.
You're one of the team here at MNN, right?
That's right. For about a year now, I've been involved. I took some classes here at mnn.org.
Yeah.
The classes are very affordable. You just have to commit and learn the ropes of what it takes to get together in a production and put things together. Speaking
of multimedia as a way in which the story of human knowledge is going to be passed on to future generations increasingly.
Exactly.
So it's a great opportunity for everybody to become literate, and everybody is with the new tech. Are you optimistic for the human prospect?
What is the human prospect?
Well, we got an opportunity to let everybody be liberated in like a gigantic jam session of the spheres that could put us into a new relationship in the universe, or we can wipe us all out. Which do you approve of?
Very extreme.
You have to make a choice, young man. You have to make a choice. Do you want everybody dead, or do you want everybody liberated in a gigantic jam session of the spheres?
That's a really...
You must choose. You must choose.
Wow. Now, everybody who's doing what they love to do.
Yeah,
God
right.
bless them,
Wouldn't that be wonderful?
You know? And if you haven't reached that pinnacle, keep searching. Keep asking.
Yeah.
Ask
And make an environment. There's a lot of different things other than construction, but construction and the things you're doing is an example of it. And there's examples all over the place of a well-organized situation where everybody wins.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen to people who are just hanging around in the couch all day.
That's right. So your pleasure to have the perception of this young man, and it's Richard, how do you say again?
Meza?
Meza. And he's a person that's really happy to introduce you to him. He's a very interesting fellow, and I predict big things for you, Mr. Meza, because I'm sorry I've been talking a lot, but I congratulate you very much on what you're doing and hope you get that to be achieved and so forth. So thank you for viewing. We'll be coming back again tomorrow. That's it for now. But I'm still being told to continue a little bit more. So, well, should I put any more, I don't know what other things to be thinking about. Education, I guess, a lot of it has to do with education.
Get your OSHA 10 hours soon.
Do what?
You don't already have your OSHA 10 hours.
OSHA 10 hours.
Just Google and find yourself a reliable place to study and take your exam.
Yeah. Well, that's a start for some people. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Construction's a beautiful industry.
Yeah, you are. And so we got on it. I don't quite know. Oh, here we go. We got our graphic. We had our director wanted us to get the graphic done. So anyway, I hope it goes really well for you, and also you've got great skills with particularly as a producer here at MNN. I think MNN is a leader in terms of providing a thing where people can be cooperatively putting programming together. It's not caught up in the throes of what the media is and so forth, and it's a great thing. You see the wonderful thing that Attenborough's doing on BBC now about the oceans of the world? Monumental. The story of human knowledge is increasingly in multimedia. So we're going to try and get you more and more involved in multimedia in terms of the time ahead. Okay, well, that's about it for now. Thank you for viewing, and thank you, Josie Ann, as always. So thank you very much one more time.
Thank you. Next time we'll talk about real estate.
Oh, well, okay. Yeah, okay, good. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, real estate agent. Yeah, right. Okay. Is that done now then? Wait a minute.